Good morning and welcome to the COVID Community Grants Program FY25 Funding Announcement webinar. I'm here to introduce myself, Tracy Kelly. I am the director of the COVID Community Grants Program. And here with us also today, we have Caitlin Figueroa, who is our grant making program officer. Today's objectives are to understand the vision of this funding opportunity, understand how to actually apply for the opportunity, and learn about the key deadlines, as well as how to ask for support when you're applying for these funds. We'll kick things off with an overview of the opportunity, so go over some of the goals. So the goal of this funding is to support primarily Black, Indigenous, and people of color, BIPOC, led and or serving community and faith-based and tribal and Indigenous people serving organizations to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 by providing culturally and linguistically appropriate community outreach, communication, and education. So you'll notice this sounds a lot like we're getting back to the basics. There's a huge focus on outreach and communications, as well as education in this upcoming funding announcement. Eligible application. So the current grantees of the COVID Community Grants Program are eligible to apply for these funds. Prior grantee performance and reporting will be a factor in the selection process, so that will be part of the criteria. And here are the details. We plan to fund up to 20 organizations for amounts of up to $20,000. And the grant period is July 2024 through September 2024. So that is a total of 3 months. So that is definitely something that you haven't seen in this program before. So just wanted to call attention. This will be for 1 quarter of funding for this final round of funds. What activities are okay to fund? So there are a lot of words on this page, but there really is not much of a difference from past iterations of the program. So still encouraging partnerships and collaborations, carrying out your work, outreach, community engagement, culturally and linguistically appropriate materials, flyers, COVID messaging, hosting or co-hosting vaccine clinics, town halls, forums. I know a lot of you also worked on a lot of social media campaigns. So this can also continue to support that and continue to do a lot of what you all already do in linking your community members to get needed services such as vaccinations, healthcare, substance use support, mental health treatment, housing support, among others. One thing to note that has been added, you'll see this towards the bottom, is creating resource guides for community members. So that's something new that was recommended in how to support VEI communities. So essentially, a lot of your programs already do this, but creating resource guides, whether they're electronic or actual guides in your office, but just ensuring that community members know where to access services, where to get the vaccine, things of that nature. So that is something that has been added. Again, that's towards the bottom. Okay, so here are the costs that can support those activities. So this funding can definitely pay staff and consultants to deliver program activities. You can also utilize the funding for stipends, costs related to purchasing, masks, gloves, hand sanitizers, and additional supplies for your program staff or volunteers, training staff and volunteers and providing professional development, providing or paying for childcare for program-related events. Again, this does need to be connected to your COVID mitigation work, your programming, providing transportation, interpretation, and translation services for staff, volunteers, and or recipients of your program activities, and also renting space for your program-related events. So there's nothing new here. Now we'll go over some of the unallowable expenses. So this funding cannot include expenses such as food and drinks, entertainment, gift cards, incentives, PPE for individuals to take home. Again, you can purchase supplies for your program staff and volunteers though you can't, purchase that for individuals to take home. COVID-19 tests or any medical treatment, Uber, Lyft, or taxi services for individual pickup, software, or construction and renovation expenses. Now we'll head into reporting expectations. There's not a lot of new things here of note, but I'll just briefly overview. It will look very familiar to past iterations of the program, with the exception of how often or how many expenditure reports you will do. So we'll head into that. We have quantitative reporting. So again, that's that monthly Qualtrics link. So you will receive a link, click on it, and you let us know what cities and towns you're serving, how many people got vaccinated, how many community members you've engaged at your programming. It could be also the number of partnerships or new partnerships that you've developed. Qualitative reporting is really around the monthly check-in calls, and that really connects on like the meat of the program, like the updates, the activities, some of those highlights that you're sharing during your check-ins, some of the challenges also that you're experiencing as well, or any feedback that you have in general about the program model. So check-ins about reporting, any challenges you might be having there. So we'll still continue to gather qualitative data, and this primarily gets populated through our monthly check-ins. You might also be asked, excuse me, or invited to join focus groups to provide perspectives on grantee successes and challenges. And also there is the potential of an end of award progress report that would be due 30 to 45 days after the end of the award period. And last but certainly not least, the quarterly expenditure reporting. So this is where it's a little unique this time around. So it's for 1 quarter of funds. So you will still have your quarterly reports, and it will still be due about 15 days after the end of the quarter. So this would be about 15 days after the end of September. And this really outlines how the funds were expended from July through September. Your funding will be dispersed in July. Criteria. So this is the key criteria that we'll be looking for when we receive proposals. So we want to ensure that there's alignment with the funding priorities that we just reviewed. We also want to make sure that criteria for the prior grantee performance and reporting is considered. And we want to ensure that your program or organization is ready to do whatever it is you set out to do in your proposal. This could mean, do you have your staffing all set? Do you have your plan? Does this seem feasible for what you have capacity to do for the upcoming quarter? Here are some key dates that will be really useful. So today we are sending out the funding announcement, and you will have received this recording. And then we will also send an email with all of the instructions, materials, and definitely a recording of today's session. We also will be hosting a live info session and Q&A on Zoom. That's going to be Wednesday, April 3rd. I don't see the time on there. Sorry, it's going to be at 2 o'clock. I think there's another slide later that does have the time on it. Again, that will be Wednesday, April 3rd at 2 o'clock. And then you can hear the key dates, timeline, and you'll also be able to bring your questions, and hopefully we'll have the answers that you need in that session. Applications are due Wednesday, May 1st at 11:59 p.m. So you've got about 5 weeks to work on your submissions for your FY25 funding. Now I'm going to pass it over to Caitlin Figueroa, who is going over how to apply for this fund.
Thanks, Tracy. So as Tracy mentioned, we're now going to go over how to apply using the online application system. So if you're accessing this webinar, then that means you've already received your preliminary announcement email, and that will have some important information regarding the purpose of the grant, dates, and instructions for accessing the portal, which I will also be going over in this space. So the first thing you should expect to receive in order to access the application is an email invitation, and this will be coming from novreply@smapply.net. And we'll go over what that looks like in just a second. So once you've created your account on the portal and you've accessed the application, you should be able to see that some of your information has already been pre-populated in the application from our previous funding cycle. Please feel free to update or change those responses as you see fit, and fill out the rest of the application questions, as well as uploading your budget template. We encourage you to access the system early and to reach out early with any questions. As Tracy mentioned, the application is due May 1st, and there will likely not be anyone available after 5 p.m. if you are having issues. So please ensure that you're able to reach out to us early in advance. Okay, so as mentioned earlier, in order to access the system, you will be receiving an email invitation to the portal. And this is what that email is going to look like. And you're going to press that green Join Now button in order to create your account. So once you've pressed that Join Now button, the web page to the online application will open up and prompt you to create your account. So please include your first and last name, your email address that your invitation was sent to, and a password, and then press Create Account. So once you've gone through all of those steps, you're going to be prompted to select your role. In your case, please choose Applicant. And after you've chosen your role, you'll see an overview of the grant program, which will have the same information you're going to find in the RFP attached in that announcement email. Please disregard these dates you see here as they're not accurate, but this will be updated by the time you're in your application portal. So to access the actual application, you're going to press the Apply button on the right-hand side. So once you've pressed Apply, you should be able to see this box on your portal, and it'll say COVID-19 Community Grants Program application. Press Continue in order to access the application. We're almost there, folks. Alrighty, so you should now be able to access all portions of this application. And I'm going to go over a few elements of the dashboard, with the first being this Add Collaborator button. This is what's going to allow you to add any individuals on your team to collaborate with you on this proposal. So once you've pressed that Invite Collaborator button, it's going to open up a box that allows you to write down the name of the individual or individuals' emails that you'd like to contribute to this proposal. If you're including more than one person, please separate the emails by commas. And you can also decide the type of access that you'd like them to have. They can either view and edit the proposal, or just access the proposal to view it, as well as the option to include a message. So for example, if you wanted to send a collaboration link to your colleague who typically edits your proposals, you can attach their email, give them access to view and edit, and then include a message around what you'd like for their contribution to the proposal to be. And then press Send Invite. So coming back to the dashboard here, I wanted to highlight another bit of this dashboard, which is the information button on the top right-hand corner circled in red. So this is a feature that's offered through the system that allows for you to receive technical support with issues specifically related to the online portal. So just a reminder, if you do have any questions related to the grant itself or any of the contents of the application, please still feel free to reach out to your technical assistance lead. But otherwise, you can press this information button at the top right-hand corner. So once you've opened up this button, it'll allow you to contact support staff directly through the system, who can help you if you're having any of those technical issues. So for any of those types of questions, please press the last question here out of the three that reads, "Having technical issues with this site," and that will allow you to submit a support request form. You may also want to check out the FAQ page to look over any frequently asked questions that others may have had while using the online system. By opening the question, that second one there that reads, "Need help with SurveyMonkey Apply," using SurveyMonkey Apply, excuse me. So returning once again to the dashboard, we're going to take a look at the very first part of this application, which is the organization information section. So once you click that section, you're going to see some familiar fields that you would fill out in the same way that you would have in the past. Much of this information, however, will already be pre-populated, but we encourage you to take a look at it closely to ensure that nothing has changed. The organization, information, and application sections are really straightforward. So you're just going to answer those questions the way you normally would, scroll down to the bottom and save your work or mark it as complete, which I'll go into further detail about in just a second. So moving on to the budget section, we skipped the application section. It looks a lot like the organization information section where you're just filling out those questions, going down to the bottom, pressing save or mark as complete. So we're going to show you what that looks like for this budget section. So so just some instructions specifically related to the budget. This very first sentence that you see highlighted in blue is going to have the link to the budget. So please press that. From there, you'll be able to download the budget, fill it out as you normally would, and then press the attach file button, which will allow you to search your folders or your files for that budget and then upload it. Once you've done that, please press mark as complete. And then in the next slide, I'll show you what that'll look like. So once you've marked a task as complete, a green check mark is going to appear next to that task. So if you haven't completed the section, you can feel free to just press save and continue. If you do feel like you're complete with that task, you can press mark as complete. So it is important to note, however, that marking a task as complete does not mean that you can't go back and edit the information in that section. So if you would like to do that, please press this ellipses button at the top hand corner and then press edit, which will take it back to your previous formatting where you can re-upload or edit any content that you had included. So finally, looking over the work plan section. Next slide, thanks. So the first thing you're going to see is an example page of the ways in which you're expected to fill out the work plan. So this will be a good reference point for you when you're completing your work plan. And once you've read through the example page, please press next at the bottom of the screen. And after that, you're going to find the first few pieces of information that you'll need to fill out. This includes your organization name and your 3 goals that you'll be indicating in your work plan. And then you're going to press next. So on the next page, you're going to fill out the 3 activities that you hope to complete in order to attain those goals. So as you can see circled at the top, the goals that you submitted in your previous page are going to populate at the header of each of your goals to allow you to reference your goals. So in this case, I only wrote out goal number 1, but in your case, your full goal will be written out at the top. And then you'll scroll to the bottom and again, save or mark your section as complete when you're done with it. And this is just a visual of what it will look like once you've completed all 4 sections and marked them all as complete. So they need to be marked as complete in order to move forward with the submission process. And you'll see all 4 green check marks next to each of these tasks. And at this point, you have the opportunity to review your submission. And this will allow you to take a look at all of your responses, make sure that they're all complete and accurate. And then you can press that submit your application button at the top hand corner. Or you have the option to just press that save button or submit button, that you saw earlier on the dashboard if you don't feel like you need to review all of your sections if that's already been done. And that is all. So I'll pass it back to Tracy for next steps.
Thank you, Caitlin. That was so helpful for taking that step by step. I know that we're doing this a new way, and we're really excited to be using this new portal and have access streamlined through one space. So we're really excited about that. Again, thank you so much for giving us a step by step. So next steps, please join our live info session and Q&A Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024. So that's next week. It's from 2 to 2:45. This is the Zoom link. Again, you will have already received an email with all of this information in it, as well as a calendar invitation. So we encourage you to come to that space, look over the materials in the meantime, and bring those questions to our live info session and Q&A on April 3rd. Thank you so much for listening to our webinar today. And thank you again, Caitlin, for all of your support with our new portal. If you have any general questions, you can feel free to email covid19grants@hra.org. If you have any specific questions about the application and the opportunity, please reach out to your TA lead, and I'm sure they'll provide you support that you're requesting. Thank you so much.